Hello everyone, this is Dr. Rich. I wanted to go over some things about Tableau with you to make sure you're well prepared for the upcoming final project and for future individual and group assignments. There's a few things you're going to have to do in terms of calculated fields. You might think about doing a visualization that's top 10. I want to show you what I mean about only including the specific visualization rather than your desktop, because I keep on mentioning that. So I want to just make absolutely sure that you're only including visualizations rather than the entire Tableau screen, etc. And making sure that when you paste those visualizations into Microsoft Word, that they're very clear. I can read them, and you're moving away from grids and matrices and tables, basically. So let's do a quick visualization. First, I want to make sure you understand why you're creating calculated fields. One of the things that we ask you to do is compare or determine the percentage of daily errors as it compares to the number of abutments that one of our designers does. So we actually give you the number of abutments that a designer does per hour. So if we just take the employee names, I'm going to double click here. I'm going to double click, abutments per hour. Maybe I will take employment status, and let's just look at the active folks. There's still a bunch of active folks, but these are the number of abutments that your staff will do in an hour. Okay, for week 1 and then week 2. But we have a daily error rate, so I'm just going to click that too. So it looks like Trina is, making 1 error per day. I can sort, which might be really helpful. I can sort on this column, and sorting is your best friend, by the way, so be sure to use sorting a lot more. Most of you do need to use the sort feature a lot more to help you uncover what's going on. So use the sort. Okay, so I have hour, and daily, but we want to convert in order to make this really work. So we have daily errors, but we have hourly abutments. So the thing that you want to do is convert the hourly into a daily number. So what I've done is created a calculated field that does that, and that's relatively straightforward. So I've already done it here, but I'll do it again. So I'm going to right click in this area right down here and left click create calculated field. So let's call it daily, since I already did this once, daily abut week 1, and I'm going to take the abutments per hour and just multiply it by 7.5, which I believe is the figure that the tutorial gives you. That we're basically assuming that your designers are working 7.5 hours a day. Of course, that make sure that they get a half an hour break, right, for lunch. And then I can just click apply, and I need to do that for the week 2 abutments as well. So we'll create a calculated field, DLY, just for daily, abut week 2, and we'll do abut. You just start typing the name of the measure, and it just pops right up, which is really great, times 7.5. Okay. So that's a way to get started there. And then what I want to do, now that I have the daily figure for both of these and I have the daily error rate, now I can do some division. So the thing that you want to do now is create yet another calculated field, and now we call this a nested calculated field because we're creating a calculated field based on another calculated field. That's all that nesting means. So we're going to do daily error percentage just for week 1. Okay, and then once you see this, you can do the percentage for week 2. And these are given in averages. No, it's not going to be perfect, but the assumption is you can just use the daily error rate for both weeks. Okay, that'll will work just fine. So so daily error percentage week 1. So okay, so we want to do the error rate, right? So daily error rate, okay, divided by basically the total number of abutments they do in a day. Well, that's this other calculated field, daily abutments, right? Daily abutments week 1. So there's your division, and when I create that, I called it DLY error percent week 1. I'm going to just double click, and that's going to give me a percentage here. Well, it's going to give me a decimal. I can easily change this into a percentage, and I'm going to sort by this one, right? Because, okay. And it may make more sense to look at on my chart here, my table, which we're going to try and clean up and get rid of some of this stuff to make a nice visualization. But you can always start with this, but you do want to end with a horizontal or vertical bar graph, which would make the most sense and really give you a better idea of what's going on here. So I'm going to change this, which is right now a decimal, into a percentage. I can come over here to measure values, and I can click this little pill right here. That's called a pill, I guess. And click format. And it says numbers here, so you're just going to pick percentage instead. And immediately this changes to percentage. And you can leave it as 2 decimal places. I think 2 is fine. Okay. And then you can just click off of that right there. So now you have the percentages in this column. Now, maybe I don't need to see these other things. Of course, I can now close this format pane right here. And you can close it by clicking this little tiny X right here. So I'm going to click that. Now, maybe all I want to see is, you know, percent. Let's just put a title on this right now. Percent daily error. Or let's do this. Daily error percent week 1. Because that's what that is. I want to get rid of these other 3 columns. I just want to look at the percentages, right? So I can just click these other measure values and drag them off. So you click, drag, and let go. So we just have percentage now. All right, let's take a minute and look at this in a visualization format. So I'm going to click Show Me way over here. And I'll just make that first Viz. Okay, so it looks a little messy right now. So we need to play around with sorting. So let's play around with my sorting like so. Probably what looks best, see, I'm just sort of experimenting here a little bit. Changing the axes like this, sorting up and down. I like this one. Just like that. So let's format the axis as well. Axis should be percentage, like that. Okay. Did you see what I did there? I right-clicked on the axis, then clicked Format, and this automatically comes up, but you just want to click this Axis tab, and you can change the numbers to percentage, of course. So let's keep it nice and clean there. Just like that. Doesn't that look nice? I like that already. Okay. So what's next? It looks like we have a lot of stuff way down on the end here. But we are making lots of progress. So one of the questions is we want to identify the staff that have, problematic in terms of the percentage of abutments that they create have errors. And there's a kind of a baseline. Anything over 5% essentially is bad. So all of these folks here, Carl, Lily, Jeanette, Charday, Brad Pitt, Lisa, and so on. Okay. What we could do to make this even more interesting is include a top 10. So we're going to do that next. Here's how we're going to make a set. And to do, or to create a top 10 or top 20, let's do top 20% of the staff that have, that are sort of problematic. And that will eliminate most of these empty spaces down here. It'll make a real clear and concise visualization to really zero in on the problem areas in terms of productivity. So high errors mean that, you know, the designers are making a mistake on the abutment or implant, and maybe the abutment or implant was returned by the dentist and can't be used in a patient's mouth. So think about it that way, that a high number of errors is bad because we need, you know, there's certain tolerances of abutments, you know, that they have to fit in the patient's mouth. So think about it that way. So we're going to make it so this visualization only shows really the top like 20% of the folks that have problems or that have high errors. So to make a set, you're going to click this little pill here, and the first step of doing a top 10 or a top 20 is to make a set. So we're going to click this little pill, and we're going to click create and then set. Okay, and then on this screen we are going to click the top tab, and then you can select by field, and we want top, right? So the folks with the highest percentages. And let's do top 20 because we are going to be talking about a percentage field. And we're going to click this drop down and find that daily error percentage, okay, that we created. That's that calculated field that we created. By sum, we click OK. And right now it's called set 2. That's, you can see I already created it down here. Set 2, and what I can do to make this only show the top 10 or 20, I'm going to click and drag this right to filters. Okay, and there we have it. Okay, we have the top. So 13%, 11%, 7%. These are all not good if our staff are getting really high error rates like this. So anything, like I said, over 5% is bad according to the case. So next, I'm going to show you how to create a condition. So it only shows, you know, maybe any of these values that are over 5%. Okay, any of the employees that have errors over 5%. So we can create a condition. The way we can do that is we can make another set. We can click employee name, and we're going to create set. Okay, and here we have a condition. Okay, and I'm going to name it greater than 5% error. I'm going to click by field, and we have daily error percentage week 1. Sum is fine, and we are going to change this to greater than. Now remember, this is a percentage, so I can't just type 5%. You really need to put in the decimal here. Okay, so I'm going to click OK. I've created the set. Now what I'm going to do is I can do a couple things. I could drag this to color, and notice that it changes all of the ones that meet that criteria blue, and the ones that don't meet the criteria are all these gray ones here. Okay, well that's great, but I still have a lot of extraneous stuff down here on the right. So instead of doing that, I'm going to click and drag this back out, and instead I'm going to, let's drag this to filters up here. Look at that. That's exactly what I wanted to shoot for. Maybe I spin this around in a couple different ways to take a peek. You know, I can look at it that way. I can look at it that way. You know, which visualization do you think looks easy to interpret? What if I did something like this? That's pretty easy. Where I want the top like that. See, I'm just spinning around to see how things look. Try and make it look a little nicer. Okay, now that we have all of that done, would it be interesting to layer in another piece of data to kind of help us understand more of what's going on? Maybe I look at their performance score, and let's look at maybe put that on color. That's interesting. So we have the person with the highest percentage errors happens to be on a PIP. Not surprised there. This person in the green needs improvement. Some of these say, you know, fully meets. I don't know why this person says it exceeds. That's sort of maybe need to drill down a little bit more, because certainly they're not exceeding on their error percentage. But this is according to their most recent performance score. So maybe they were doing great and then really started not doing very well for some reason or another. So you get a lot more information when you sort. You look at using sets and conditions. So this is really a condition. I can always right click on these sets and then click edit set just to go back and change this if you like. You know, maybe you have a different criteria. Maybe it's anything above 4%. So if I change that, immediately my graph is going to change. So with all of that, hey there, I almost forgot to show you one thing here. So when you're taking a screenshot and pasting it into Microsoft Word, make sure you only select the visualization. You can include the title, but I don't want to see this columns and rows, the filters, the pages, the marks, the dimensions, the measures, and so on, or the rest of your desktop. So you're going to use the Snip Tool if you're on Microsoft Windows. So let me bring that back over here. So I'm going to click the Snip Tool. I have it on my taskbar here, and that should come right up. Snip Tool. It comes free with Windows. It should be in your accessories. You might have to dig around for it, but you do have this. It's free, you know, comes with Windows. Click New Snip, and you're going to just highlight the visualization itself. You're welcome to include the legend. That would be fine. And then I'm going to click Edit, Copy, open up Word, create a new Word doc right there. Perhaps you already have a Word doc open, and just paste that right in. And that is a lot easier for me to see, and easier for someone to interpret. Like this person right here on the left, Carl, on a PIP. You get some high amount of errors, much more than what we would expect. So if you have any questions about taking a screenshot, pasting it in Word, think you're doing just fine on that. Just make sure you only include this visualization and not the rest of it. All right, that's it. Thanks a lot.